People told me I couldn't do a lot of things.
I feel like I'm the chosen one.
Look at this. We created this. This didn't exist before we were here. All we are is proud and passionate. I love Toronto. I love this team. And we're going to the NBA Finals. Let's go!
Nothing matters but winning.
You're going to the NBA Finals for the first time in your career.
Canada, the NBA title is yours. The Toronto Raptors are the 2019 NBA champions.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 6 of Rapzville Weekly. Today we have a special episode, as this will be coming out on June 26th, which is the 5-month anniversary after the death of Kobe Bryant. So this is a episode in memory of him. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to the Kobe Bryant family. Obviously, losing him and his daughter was something traumatic to the community, and the NBA definitely mourned his loss, as he was a fantastic player and did a lot for the community, teaching the younger players and being a part of a lot of basketball players' lives, and even a lot of kids. He was a role model to many, and people looked up to him, and it was sad to see him go so early. So we are going to be starting off with ranking. We're going to go 5 to 1 like we did last episode. So these are our top Kobe moments. These are our top 5 plays, top 5 moments in our opinions. So for number 5, I have Kobe's impossible game-tying 3 versus the Portland Trailblazers, plus a double overtime game-winning 3. This was back in 2004. This game was absolutely crazy. This was April 4th, 2004, so near the end of the season here, regular season, mind you. And Kobe hit 2 clutch shots to lead the Los Angeles Lakers to the Pacific Division title with a victory over the Portland Trailblazers near the end of the season. In a miraculous display of skill and composure under pressure, Kobe sunk not 1, but 2 buzzer beaters over Blazers forward Ruben Patterson, the self-proclaimed Kobe stopper, and the first shot sent the game into overtime, and the second won it all. Patterson was defeated, and Kobe proved that he, in fact, cannot be stopped. The first shot, Kobe crossed over, but then lost his dribble. He then pump faked, and the defender was right on him. Patterson was right next to him, hand in his face. Kobe leaned sideways and jumped around the defender and chucked up a 3 with 3 seconds remaining, somehow threw it in, sank the 3 ball, leaving 1.1 on the clock. It was probably one of the craziest shots I've ever seen in NBA history. That sent that to OT, and then eventually they went to double overtime, where former Raptor Damon Stoudemire hit a shot with 2.2 remaining on the clock to give Portland Trailblazers a 2-point lead. After a foul and some time loss, there's only 1 second remaining. So with this 1 second remaining, Kobe runs back and then forth to the 3-point line, catches the ball in the 3-point line from the inbound, and then chucks up a 3 with a defender running at him full speed, hand in his face. Kobe falls back, throws up this prayer, and somehow hits the game winner. Both these shots are absolutely phenomenal and ridiculous that he even hit them. And I think they both show how clutch of a player he really was and how dominant he was in the 2000s. This is after coming off his three-peat. He really showed just how unreal he was of a scorer. He ended up dropping 37 that night. And I put this moment at number 5 on our list just because I think personally it just truly shows how crazy of a scorer and how good he really was. So moving on to number 4 now, we have Kobe's 60-point final game versus the Utah Jazz. I think this is a huge moment in his career. Back in 2016, he was one of the best players ever to wear a Lakers uniform and one of the best players ever to play the sport of basketball. And he left the NBA in the only way he knew how, with a bang. Kobe Bryant saved his final outstanding performance for the last game of his career. He dropped a 60-point explosion in the Staples Center back in April 13, 2016. He has this weird thing about the end of the season, big night performances. I think it was a very fitting end for him, considering he was most notably known for his unreal scoring ability and competitive nature. This was the last game of the season after Kobe announced he would retire, much earlier, November, I believe. And he said that he was starting his farewell tour. And after 20 hard-fought years where he spent the entirety of his career with the Lakers and he won multiple championships, it was a great ending for a player of his caliber. Some people even have him in the GOAT debate, and many players love him, obviously. And everyone enjoyed seeing him so dominant in his final game ever. He took so many tough shots, sank one after the other, leading his team to a wild comeback against the Utah Jazz. The final 3 minutes of the game alone, he had the whole arena on his feet, and everyone was going crazy as he gave it his all, left everything out on the floor, hitting countless fadeaway jumpers, pull-up three, and then right at the end, he made his final 2 free throws to hit 60 points ever, and the stadium just erupted. And he was dripping with sweat, but he always stayed focused. He never chucked a smile. He wanted to hit that 60 and leave his final mark in the game. I think it's a huge moment in his career, and it leaves a lasting impression on the caliber of player he was in that GOAT debate of hardworking mentality. That Mamba mentality really showed in his final night ever playing.
Yes, Gabe. Okay, now moving on to 3. Kobe's alley-oop toss to Shaq against the Portland Trailblazers in 2000, the Western Conference Finals, Game 7. During this time, the Portland Trailblazers were the only match for the stacked Los Angeles Lakers. It was Kobe's 4th season in the league and Phil Jackson's first with the Lakers, who were trailing the Portland Trailblazers by 14 points, going into the 4th quarter of Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. They mounted a comeback. With 55 seconds remaining, they had a 4-point lead and the ball. There was still time for the Blazers to squeeze 2 more possessions, but they had to get a stop on this possession. Brian wouldn't let it happen. He crossed over Scottie Pippen at the top of the key, got into the lane, and delivered a high-arcing pinpoint alley-oop to Shaq for arguably the most iconic play of his career, or certainly the most iconic assist. Brian went on to win the first of his 5 championships a few weeks later, defeating the Indiana Pacers 4-2 in the NBA Finals. Now moving to number 2, Kobe Bryant's buzzer beater Game 4, first round for Suns in 2006. The 2005-06 season showcased the peak of Bryant's scoring powers. He averaged 35.4 points that season for the first of his 2 consecutive scoring titles. He had to score like this because the Lakers weren't a great team at the time. The next high score was Lamar Odom at fewer than 15 points per game. Wow, that's carrying.
Yeah, they lost Shaq.
After Bryant and Odom, a not-so-big 3 of Smush Parker, Kwame Brown, and Chris Mim led the team in minutes. That Kobe got the Lakers to 45 wins and a number 7 seed was a feat in itself. It led to a first-round matchup with the heavily favored Phoenix Suns. The Lakers, pretty shockingly, led the series 2-1 going into Game 4, which went to overtime after Bryant finished a highly difficult teardrop from almost underneath the backboard to tie the game. At the end of regulation, then in OT, he did this. Kobe chased down that loose ball off the jump. He was making his way to the right elbow spot, one of his many sweet spots. And when that shot got off clean, it was a wrap. We knew it was all going in. No way Kobe was missing that shot in that situation. The Suns actually rallied back, though, from a 3-1 deficit to win the series and eliminate Kobe. But nobody remembers that. Everyone remembers just Kobe's shot. Now moving on to number 1, Kobe's moments. Kobe's career high, 81-point game versus the Raptors.
One of the highest.
It came against the Raptors. It was the second highest single-game output in NBA history, trailing only Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game in 1962. The numbers were staggering. To get to 81, Bryant shot over 60% from the field, 28 for 46, and 90% from the free throw line, 18 for 20. So good luck making some ill-informed argument about Kobe gunning his way to this ridiculous output. The next scoring Laker was Smush Parker with 13 points. The Toronto starters only scored 68 points combined. Kobe only scored 26 points in the first half, meaning he dropped 55 in the final 2 quarters. Wow. That's a lot of points. Keep in mind, NBA basketball in 2006 was not being played at the same pace as we are today. It was much slower back then. In fact, the league's collective pace was 90.5 possessions per 48 minutes in 2005-06, which is the 5th slowest mark since the merger, and the Lakers' 90.9 mark was just 15th in the league that season. This was the opposite of a run-and-gun team in a run-and-gun era, and Kobe still got 81 in a 122-104 Lakers victory. Kobe had a lot more many magnificent shots. In 2005, he put 62 points on the Mavericks in 3 quarters. In 2009, he scored 61 against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden, which at the time was the highest single-game output ever for a visiting player. Pretty impressive to do it on the road. Throughout his career, Kobe posted 60-point games during the course of his career. He also scored 50 or more points 26 times and 40 or more 134 times. But for sure, the 81-point game stands above them all. It was the definition of iconic.
Now for the special acknowledgement. In the 1997 Western Conference Finals, the Lakers lost in 5 games to the Utah Jazz, who ended up losing to Michael Jordan's Bulls. In the final game, an 18-year-old rookie, Kobe Bryant, coming straight out of high school, he missed a game-winning shot by airballing a mid-range jumper. So right off the bat here, we're talking about 5 somewhat greatest moments in Kobe's career, greatest plays, and then we put this in a special acknowledgement just because of what it signified. So in overtime, he proceeded to shoot 4 shots short, 3 of them, including a game-tying 3-pointer, all airballed. The Utah Jazz went on to lose to MJ's Bulls, like I said, but Kobe used this moment as a chance to deal with adversity, public scrutiny, as people thought, this big name coming out of high school really cost him the game. And also, he had a lot of self-doubt. That first night, the Lakers landed back in LA. Kobe proceeded to work on his shot until the sun came up. And stories like these help put into perspective the dedication and passion Kobe had for the game, along with how much he was willing to put in order to better himself at the game. At the end of his career, Kobe looked back on the memory and thought it was a fond memory, believing it helped shape him. Jerry West went on to say that it was a defining moment in his career because not many people would have continued to take those big shots knowing they kept airballing. He airballed one, and then he shot another and airballed it again, and he kept going. It showed that Kobe was fearless, and it helped his leap to greatness because he wasn't going to allow himself to fail. Byron Scott described the shots Bryant took as great while expressing sympathy for the circumstances that led to him unexpectedly assuming a spotlight because that he later excelled in through most of his NBA career, but because a lot of the guys got injured and Kobe was forced to play. I believe he was coming off the bench, so here he had to play a lot of the fourth quarter in OT, which caused him to take these shots that people kind of lost respect for him. But, eventually he gained it back. And there was something that Scott liked even more. Once the game ended, Scott recalled seeing a determined look on Kobe Bryant's face that read that this is not going to happen again. Like Kobe showed that passion of, I'm not going to miss these shots again. And I think it's really defining to Kobe as a character and as a great basketball player is coming in with that mentality of, although missing all those shots, I'm going to bounce back and I'm not going to let this happen again. And you know what? He proved to be a very clutch player throughout his career. So he really showed that didn't affect him. So moving on, now I'm going to pick one of my favorite stories here. I know Adam's going to do his next. So I'm going to start with my favorite story. And this is Jay Williams. And Jay Williams was a man who was always known to work hard. He believed that working hard and outworking people, that's the way he wanted to make his mark on the league, especially in his rookie year. He thought that's what he was going to do to make his mark. And his rookie year, they were playing the Lakers that night. This was around at 7 o'clock. And he wanted to get to the Staples Center at 3 to make 400 shots before the game started because it was the Kobe and Shaq championship Lakers era. He didn't give a specific date, but that's the time era he said. And he knew that he had to be at his best if he wanted to somehow best the Lakers. By the time he got there, Kobe was already working out at the gym, and he was moving at full game speed, working extremely hard. It wasn't just lackluster warm-up shots. Like, he was going full game, hard dribble moves, hard shots, full-on sweat. And Jay worked out for about an hour or an hour and 15 minutes, and Kobe hadn't stopped. Kobe was still going. So Kobe started before him, and he was still going when Jay ended. So now Kobe is still going, and Jay's starting to watch for about 25 minutes. And Kobe, once again, working at full speed, working out intensely. And after about 25 minutes, Kobe wrapped up, and Jay went back to the locker rooms, expecting, Kobe's going to be tired. He worked out like a little too much, 25 minutes after me, plus the hour and 15 I was going, and before me, he's going to be gassed. He's not going to play as good. Eventually, the Lakers ended up crushing them, and Kobe dropped 40 points, beating them on every area of the floor, as Jay says. So after the game, the confusion and astonishment was eating at Jay, and he wanted to know, how Kobe had this drive and energy. Where did it come from? How did he do it? How did he bring this killer instinct and have the ability to work and practice that hard and then still produce in game? So Jay asked Kobe, why did you stay and work out for so long and, so hard? And then Kobe responded, because I saw you come into the gym. And I wanted you to know that no matter how hard you work, you weren't going to outwork me. And Jay pondered, why would I, some no-name rookie coming into the league, have that much of an impact on Kobe that he would want to outwork me for some reason? But then he realized that this was Kobe's attitude to everything. That was how Kobe was as a person. It didn't matter who it was, Kobe wanted to form his life with these type of disciplines, that he was going to outwork people and he was going to be the best there could be just based off of hard work and the willingness to outwork others. And Jay believed this was a career-defining moment for him. And although he wasn't in the league for too long, he still took some of those lessons throughout all of his aspects of life. He said, it doesn't matter how hard you work, I'm willing to outwork you. That's the mentality that Kobe had, and that's the thing that Jay took with him. It's truly inspiring and demonstrative of who Kobe was as an individual with that Mamba mentality, the willingness to work hard, the willingness to win, and everything he did with a killer instinct. So I think this story fully embodies the type of person Kobe was and the mark he left in the basketball world. And I think it's really powerful and motivational for the younger players coming in the league who want to get to where they want to be by working hard. Some guys like FVV who really just grind and become the best they can by working hard. So I think it's really good story for them. So yeah, that's my favorite. Adam, I'll let you take it away with yours.
Okay, so my favorite story for Kobe would be in 2012, the USA basketball team was training for their upcoming schedule in the Olympic Games. Kobe mentioned in years prior to his trainer that he wanted to include more biking in his workouts. The first night that the USA basketball team arrived in Las Vegas, Nevada for their team training camps was a late flight that had got them there in the late evening, leaving the players fatigued. Knowing they had a team workout the next morning at 7:30, the normal thing to do would go to sleep or relax in your hotel room till tomorrow for their workout. Obviously, Kobe had unhuman-like characteristics and truly prided himself on being the hardest worker in the room everywhere he went. As he arrived in Las Vegas, he had asked his trainer if he would want to go for a bike ride that night. His trainer agreed to go with him. So once they got settled in, put all their stuff away, Kobe went on a 40-mile bike ride through the desert with his trainer and approximately arrived back at the hotel at 2 a.m. He did arrive the next morning in time for the workout at 7:30 a.m., like everyone else who got their full night rest. Blake Griffin, another player working out, overheard people talking about Kobe's bike ride and wanted to find out if it was true or not. When Griffin did get the confirmation that it was true, he asked Kobe to call him next time he went, so he could ride alongside him. The story doesn't end here, as Kobe had then got the number of one of the trainers at the camp named Rob. Rob was surprisingly not sleeping, as the team had a scrimmage the next day. He heard his cell phone ring at around 4 a.m. and answered it as it was Kobe. Kobe asked if he can come to the gym and help with some conditioning work. Rob then went to the gym and found Kobe drenched in sweat, knowing that he'd been there already for a while. Rob and Kobe did their conditioning for about 2 hours, and Rob went back home while Kobe was staying from more shooting practice. The next morning at 11 a.m., Rob walked into the gym, seeing LeBron talking to Carmelo and Coach K with Kobe, still shooting in the background. He then went up to Kobe and asked him, "How was your workout this morning? And when did you finish?" Kobe replied, "Just now. I wanted to get at least 800 makes." That's astonishing. That meant this guy was working out for 7 hours or more before even starting the Team USA scrimmage. Players also said that Kobe had the best scrimmage that day as well. This, in my opinion, separates him from that superstar status to a legendary figure. There's a big difference, in my opinion.
Wow. That's unreal.
So now moving on to talk about his work ethic and being a winner, having his Mamba mentality. He's always wanted to be a winner. Being at the Lakers for that long, he's always wanted to be a winner, and he's always wanted to prove everyone wrong about him, and he always wanted to show that being a hard worker will always lead to greatness. And he always took losing as a growth. It's either win or you learn. You never really lose. You just have to take losing with a grain of salt. And
just like that. Sorry, just to speak here. I was going to say that, like the special acknowledgement that we had, some big moment like that where he took losing and he took those 4 air balls and really turned it around to being a defining moment where he wasn't going to let that happen again, where he would face that scrutiny or feel that embarrassment. So he focused all that energy into bettering himself and turned that negative into a positive. And all these stories that we have about him are just clear examples of his Mamba mentality and his willingness to outwork others. I think that really separates him from many other NBA superstars and legends.
No, for sure. That's a great example, Gabe. Some basketball-related accolades that he's won is he's a 5-time NBA champion, 2 times NBA Finals MVP, 1-time NBA MVP, 18 times NBA All-Star, 4-time NBA All-Star Game MVP, 11-time All-NBA First Team, 2-time All-NBA Second Team, 2-time All-NBA Third Team, 12 All-NBA Defensive Team, 1 NBA All-Rookie Selection, 1 NBA Slam Dunk Contest Champion, 34-time Player of the Month, 3 gold medals, 1 with Team USA. Kobe also stands fourth in all-time points scored in NBA history with 33,643. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
What a resume.
that's a light little resume there. Nothing too crazy. Wow, man. Like, this is just greatness at its finest. You can't look at these accolades and not just be astonished and just admiring of the work that Kobe's put in. He's just an unreal player, and his accolades prove it, man. He spent 20 hard years with the Lakers after not even being drafted with the highest pick. I think he was 8th, I believe, something like that. So, he worked his way and proved that he deserved to be one of the best players coming out of that draft class because of that hard work and effort that he's put into building himself as a player.
So now moving on to Kobe's loyalty. I mean, spending 20 straight seasons with the Los Angeles Lakers after being drafted by the Hornets. A lot of players, for example, KD, they like to work their way around the league, test the water in different places. But this guy was just something different. He was loyal. He stayed 20 straight seasons with the Lakers. Not a lot of players can say they stayed with the same team for their whole career. That's pretty astonishing.
Being Raptors fans, I guess we can appreciate that as well. Seeing a lot of our superstars leave or get traded away, like loyalty means a lot, especially like someone like Kyle Lowry staying here for all these years. We appreciate that loyalty. So that's why we're mesmerized by like Kobe's willingness to stay for 20 seasons and stick it out even through like the tougher years where he didn't have the best supporting cast.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's why the Lakers fans love him so much, and he's just such a loyal guy and
Dedicated everything.
And a good guy for this team. Yeah. Kobe was more than just a basketball player. I mean, he was an author of his book, The Mamba Mentality, talking about his journey and life perspective as a player. He created the Mamba Academy, but recently changed to the Academy when he passed away, which he would host youth training camps and invite many NBA players to his off-season camp in California to pass on his knowledge and help them better their game in terms of skill and mentality of the game. He was also part of the film Dear Basketball, winning the Best Animated Short Film. I remember watching that award. These accomplishments truly show what a foundational person and builder Kobe strived to be during his life. Yeah,
he's a pivotal point in, NBA history. All of his accomplishments, accolades on the court, but even off the court, he's done a lot. Obviously, of the Black Mamba Academy, teaching a lot of these young players, being invited in general is just like a huge honor. But being able to work with Kobe, learn from him, learn some of his, let's say, moves and stuff. It's unreal. He really gave back to the community, and he wanted to see players become better and strive for greatness. And he has a knack for looking out for people that work hard and want to better themselves. So I think that his work on and off the court has just been phenomenal, and we're truly blessed to see someone like him being able to play, even though he did retire while we just started really getting into basketball. It's still crazy to see his highlights and all these big shots and moments he's had in his career where he's truly shown how clutch and great he can be, of a scorer, of a finisher, of an all-time franchise player, everything. He's a great player, definitely one of the greats of all time. And it's sad that we didn't get to see him, live out more of his life with his becoming a father now and helping his daughters play. It would have been nice seeing more out of him, even maybe some more books or him with helping younger basketball players in the league right now. It's sad that we didn't get to see more come out of his life. Okay, yeah. I think that wraps it up then. This episode might be a little bit shorter, but we had to do this is just in memory of Kobe Bryant, and we wanted to put together our top moments along with some special stories and just truly highlight the character Kobe is and, what he's done for the basketball community. So our thoughts and prayers are with his family, and it's sad to see him go.
Rest in peace, Kobe.
Rest in peace, Kobe. Sad to see him go so early. But, we hope you all enjoyed. Kobe fans out there, hope you enjoy. I know it's a little tough seeing the career high 81 points against the Raps, but, we gotta give some respect to Kobe Bryant for such a great player he is, especially on his 5-month anniversary from his death. So, yeah, thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed. Stay safe during the quarantine. Yeah, that's us signing out. Peace.
Peace.